being connected to nature.
The National Taxi Alliance has called on Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula to pay out the money set aside to provide relief for the minibus taxi industry within 10 days. Government pledged to set aside more than R1 billion for the taxi industry to help mitigate the COVID-19 impact. After failing to convince government to increase the amount, the NTA asked that the money be paid directly to taxi operators rather than taxi bodies. It says instead, government came up with impossible requirements.
The legal letters submitted by our legal team or the lawyers to the Minister and the Department of Transport have 10 days time period within which the minister has to comply. Fortunately, whether he complies or not, we will be informed by what happens within this time frame. If nothing comes that is beneficial to the taxi industry, you can rest assured you will see us. We will inform the general public and all South Africans, including the President, that we are going out into the street to take action.
All right, I want to get more on this story now. The National Taxi Alliance has announced its withdrawal from the National Taxi Lekgotla scheduled to take place on the 29th of October with Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula. The alliance accuses the minister of negotiating in bad faith, saying government is not doing much in addressing the devastating effects of the lockdown on the taxi industry. For more on the story, you're joined on the line by the National Taxi Alliance spokesperson, Theo Malele. Theo, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Let's understand where you're coming from. Give us the reasons, your reasons for pulling out from the all-important, as it's billed, National Taxi Lekgotla.
Absolutely. We have reasons, and those reasons are that, when the minister first introduced this discourse on the 20th of August 2020, the National Taxi Alliance, was also invited, and with no, talking right. You would recall that the discourse launch, had many other invitees were for, called, trade unions, federations, or business representative bodies, and all of them were invited with speaking rights, irrespective of their same sector representative duplication. So this in itself actually indicated that we just have to step back and move away from this humiliating process that is actually not keeping us mum even when we have our own mouths and and everything else to can utilize in order to be here. The minister also failed, not only about that, because we had engaged the issues that we did not really appreciate, but instead of the minister responding back to us, he's forging ahead with this plan that's going to fall flat on its face. You can imagine that if you were to transform the taxi industry into businesses like he is saying, you would need to also adjust the National Credit Act, because most of these taxis are owed, and you would also therefore then have to change the National Land Transport Act to allow for this process to unfold. And these just two aspects take a pretty long time for you to can achieve.
Right.
So and he's wanting to get this done by end of October. So
One
this
of
is
the,
technically
Theo, one of the issues for you and your alliance is the speaking or talking rights at this Lekgotla. Just give us a sense, to put into context, how many members do you have?
Well, I cannot give you a ballpark figure now, but I can say to you comfortably that the Gauteng province, being the economic hub of South Africa, it's controlled by the National Taxi Alliance. If you take into account the number of associations that are in Gauteng, the stats were that there's about 120, for which 70 are controlled by the National Taxi Alliance.
So you would consider yourself a large organization. One of the aims of the National Lekgotla, as we understand it, is to, I guess, provide a platform to consolidate consensus on a blueprint for the taxi industry for the future. What will then, Theo, get you to change your mind and attend this Lekgotla?
It's simple. It's simple as daylight. We just have to be respected as an independent body that represents the taxi industry, and we have milestones to can even talk about here, where even the Santaco got hundreds of millions of rand as a result of a project that was initiated by the National Taxi Alliance. That was the Siaya project, which was introduced immediately after the taxi recapitalization was spoken of. And the NTA came with a counter, proposition, which actually saw the industry being, empowered. There is no single taxi that was repossessed during this period of the Siaya project. And, we can demonstrate, achievements that the taxi operators have actually, got hold on. And there is none whatsoever that the opposition, who are blue-eyed boys, can actually show for their being in existence and being in a position to earn in a range of 25 million rands per annum without even proper accounting on how, all these monies were disbursed.
Mr. Malele,
so there is quite a lot. Yeah.
I just want to talk repercussions and impact here. You would agree that this Lekgotla needs to be action-oriented. Results needs to be tangible. But the National Taxi Alliance not in attendance. Are those aims and targets now in jeopardy, do you think?
Look, we need to be invited as an independent body. That's all what it takes. We need to be invited as an independent body that has its own constituencies. Look, you have so many, you had COSATU, there was a breakaway, and NAFTU was formed. Why has not been talk of unity? There's been the ANC has given birth to so many other political parties for which they've been unable to can reconcile their differences with. So if they're talking about unity, which unity are they talking of? Because they can hardly actually display such prowess of delivering the very same.
Well, let's just talk about that. Let's just talk about the issue of unity. Minister Fikile Mbalula recently tweeted that unity of purpose in the taxi industry remains elusive, and that the taxi industry continues to be characterized by conflicts and violence as a consequence of vicious competition for routes or leadership roles. Theo, you agree with that assessment as a starting point for finding solutions?
Yeah, look, we do not condone violence whatsoever, but the minister's initiatives are rather too ambiguous. In that, if you look at the amendment of the National Credit Act itself, it's a process that should take about 2 years. And you also look at the amendment of the National Transport Act, which also needs to be amended for this process to unfold. So it is not a thing that could happen overnight. So why is there a rush? Why are we rushing things when we can approach these things, in a sober mind and get them, done once and properly and, and forever? South Africa should be a better place for all to live in and have the transportation of this country corrected so that we also boost the economy of the country.
All right. Look, thank you very much indeed, sir, for your perspective. We will no doubt follow up on this story. Appreciate your time. Be well.
Thank you very much for having us.